All right, today we're going to talk about what happens when your most important work finally breaks free from the limits of a traditional spreadsheet. It's about turning that static grid of cells into an active partner in your work. You know that feeling, right? All your critical data, your project plans, your entire workflow, it's just sitting there. In a grid, it's passive. It's basically a digital filing cabinet. It doesn't actually do anything until you go and poke it. But what if that could completely change? And this is the fundamental shift we're talking about. Moving away from the old way, constantly doing manual checks, looking at stale reports with passive data, and moving to an active platform. We're talking automated alerts, live dashboards, a system that works for you. It's the difference between that old filing cabinet and a really, really good personal assistant. Okay, so let's really dig into what it means to go beyond the flat sheet. This is all about changing your relationship with your tools. You're turning them from something you just stare at into something that actually gets in there and participates in your work. This quote just nails it. Instead of you having to remember to check for updates all the time, the system actually pings you when your input is needed. This frees you up to focus on the high-value stuff, the real work that actually pushes things forward. Now, this proactive approach is an absolute game changer for leadership. For the C-suite, making the right call depends completely on how good and how fresh their information is. Stale data, that just leads to bad decisions, period. So here's the bottom line. Executives have to make decisions based on what is happening right now, not based on a report that someone ran yesterday or even a few hours ago. The world just moves way too fast for that. Having live, real-time data isn't a luxury anymore. It's an absolute necessity. And check this out. It shows just how simple this can be. An executive doesn't even need to go looking for the info. You just set up an alert for the most important metrics, and boom, a live report lands on their phone every morning at 8 a.m. They can make huge decisions with the latest data before their first coffee is even finished. Okay, let's switch hats for a second. Let's think about the CIO. They're often wrestling with this massive, tangled web of different apps and software. And you know the deal. The more tools you have, the more complicated, expensive, and just disconnected everything gets. So how can one platform solve that giant headache? Well, it starts with a familiar interface that looks a lot like a spreadsheet, so everyone can jump right in. But the real magic is that it becomes a central hub. It connects all these different systems, pulls the data together, and lets you replace a whole bunch of little niche tools, totally simplifying your tech stack. And when we say it connects to other systems, we're talking about tearing down those data silos for good. Being able to integrate seamlessly, that's the key to becoming that central hub. And that's where the real power is. We are talking about connecting to the big ones, right? Your ERP system like SAP, your CRM like HubSpot, your HR platform like Workday. All that data that used to live on separate islands can now be brought together so you can actually do something with it, all in one place. Someone once asked if there were any limits to what you could integrate with. The answer was perfect. Not if there's an API involved. Think of an API as like a universal adapter that lets different software talk to each other. So as long as the system has one, you can make that connection. The possibilities for a truly integrated workflow are pretty much endless. But this whole evolution doesn't just stop at connecting things. Nope. The next big step is moving towards intelligence, using technology not just to organize our work, but to actually make our work smarter. So what is intelligent work? Well, it's about embedding AI to help people with tasks that might have been out of reach before. Imagine AI helping you analyze a huge data set, or automatically writing that crazy complex formula you could never figure out on your own. It's about giving people superpowers they didn't have before. And here's the most important part of all. This intelligence isn't just for data scientists or the super techie folks. The real goal here is to elevate everybody. It's about making every single person on the team more capable, more efficient, and way more impactful in what they do every day. Which brings us to our last point, and honestly, it might be the most powerful one, the human impact. Because when you elevate people's work, you don't just improve the company's bottom line, you can literally accelerate their careers. Just listen to this. This is a direct quote from a customer. My title is now because of Smartsheet. Wow, that's an incredibly powerful thing to say. She's directly crediting her career advancement to the tool that helped her do and show her amazing work. So let's just trace her journey. She starts in an administrative role. Using the platform, she starts taking on really complex projects, managing finances. And her work was so impactful that it got noticed by leadership, the people who, as she said, didn't even realize all this important stuff was happening before. And that visibility? It led directly to a promotion. See what happened there? It really comes down to this. When a tool helps you solve big, important problems and, crucially, makes that work visible to the right people, it creates opportunity. It raises your profile and, like we just saw, it can even change your job title. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. We usually think of our software as just a way to get tasks done, right? A utility. But what if we started choosing our tools differently? What if we picked the tools that not only help us manage our work, but actually elevate it, and in doing so, help elevate our own careers?